Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. See with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out, slowly feel all that's around. All that you feel, all that you know, let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, yeah. We unite. Yeah, yeah. When we unite. Yeah,
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Centers of Spiritual Living, Ocala. How y'all doing this Sunday fun day? They're not quite risen yet. Y'all know it's Resurrection Day, right? How y'all doing this Sunday fun day? Love it. Thank you so much. And here at Centers of Spiritual Living, Ocala, we have a vision, and that vision is that we are a model center for spiritual living, as evidenced by the transformational impact we have on our spiritual community, the CSL organization, and the community at large. And we also have different missions. You know, you can tell a lot about a company when you have mission and vision and purpose statements and values and things like that, right? Hold on, let me get, okay. You got it? Oh. There it goes. We both did it at the same time here. Our mission is to empower individuals to awaken to the power and presence that lies within and all around them so they may live their very best lives. So essentially, we're just going to remind you of who you are. That's it. Yeah. And we have some values here at CSL Ocala: spiritual growth and practice. Repeat that after me. Spiritual growth and practice. How about love? Love, appreciation, community, freedom, creativity, health and wholeness, generosity, financial well-being. So as a community, these are our values. We chose them together a while back, and I really still stand by those. And now we have a musical moment with Matt from the Freedom Family Band and Matt Cat. And music is their medicine, and definitely that is it. And you are in for a treat. So everybody, Matt.
Check. Thanks. It is buzzing in here. Grand Rising, everyone. Thank you for having me. I usually have my partner singing with me, so today is different. Today is special, and that's my boy, I think. Yeah. So we'll get to it. The first song I want to share is called Tino Yerera. And this is a Shona song, Zimbabwe, from Zimbabwe. I'm from Zimbabwe. And this song came through a few months ago. And it is a prayer for generational wealth and well-being for all of us. To break the chains of those bonds that we had through our ancestral lineage, those unspoken voices, it's the grief and the pain and the sorrow that our ancestors didn't get to speak or let go of. And the song is called Tino Yerera, which means we are flowing. Tino Yerera, Tino Yerera Kukumba, Tino Yerera Pasi, Ruizi Apfumi, Ruizi Apfumi. Ruizi Apfumi means the river of wealth. Abundance is flowing all around. Tino Yerera Kukaya, Tino Yerera Pasi, Ruizi Apfumi, Ruizi Apfumi. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be honest with each other. Hey, hey. May the truth be told, truth be told, truth be. May the truth be told. May the truth be told, truth be told, truth be. May the truth be told. Tino Yerera Kukumba, Tino Yerera Pasi, Ruizi Apfumi, Ruizi Apfumi. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be honest with truth be told, truth be told, truth be, may the truth be told. Yeah. May the truth be told, truth be told, truth be told. Welcome to the family. Welcome to your family tree. Welcome to the family. Welcome to your family tree, where forgiveness brings us close. Forgiveness brings us close. Forgiveness brings us close. Hey, closer and closer and closer. Forgiveness brings us close. Forgiveness brings us close. Forgiveness brings us close. Yeah, yeah. Closer and closer and closer and closer. Closer and closer and closer and closer. Closer and closer. Thank you. Hold that one. Tino Yerera Kukumba, we are flying home. Ruizia Pumi, down the river of wealth. And abundance is all around. Especially abundance of connection. Can we all take a deep breath in together, please? And just close your eyes, settle down. This next song is called There Will Be a Time. Thank you to CSL for holding the space, for being a lighthouse for our community. Thank you to everyone that shows up every week here. Come a time when the earth stops turning. There will be a time when the walls come falling down. There will be an answer to all this yearning. We all come home in the end. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. There will be a time when our mothers stand tall. There will be a time when our leaders fall. It is just one moment, and it won't last forever. It is just one moment passing by. We shall return to love. return. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. There will be a time when the weak will rise up. There will be a time when our heroes fall. It is just one moment, and it won't last forever. No, it won't. It is just one moment passing by. We shall return to love. We shall return to love. We shall return to love. To love we shall return. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. There will be a time when the earth stops turning. There will be a time when the walls come falling down. There will be an answer to all this yearning. There will be an answer to all this yearning. There will be an answer to all this yearning. There will be an answer to all this yearning. We all come home in the end. We all come home in the end. Sing it with me. We all come home in the end. We all come home in the end. And in the end we are all friends. Yes, even with them. In the end we are all friends. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Let love flow, let love flow, let it all go. Let love flow, let it all go, and let love flow. Let it all go, and let love flow. Let it all go, let love flow. Let it all go, and let love flow. Let it all go, and let love flow. All the way home, all the way home. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Thank you so much for singing. Thank you for being. Thank you for receiving. Thank you for being and giving and receiving and blah, blah, blah. All these English words that don't actually really mean anything. Bless. Got one more for you. If you guys want to follow our journey, the Freedom Family Band, myself, my wife, and maybe one day my kids, in the hopes that they find what I do interesting. I didn't plan this next song. You guys have anyone? Anything? Angel? Oh yeah? Let's do higher. Are we going to do Angel? Because we need to shake up some energy. Anybody else feel like they came back to this earth to share love and bring the peace? So in some way that we can safely say that you're angels, yeah? You're feeling that we have a job and we have responsibility now that we can see and feel certain things.
You're an angel here with the seed in your hand. Put your root down and take care of this land. You're an angel with the seed in your hand. You're an angel with the seed in your hand. Yeah. Yeah, mama, yeah, na, yeah. Yeah, mama, yeah, na, yeah. The irony is that we've been born in a society that profits of your suffering. But you're a beautiful heart and a beautiful mind. You're strong enough now to always be kind. Get up, stand up, don't back down. Get up, stand up and find your ground. Yeah, get up, stand up, get on your feet. Get up, stand up, it's really freaking deep. But you're an angel here with a seed in your hand. Put your root down and take care of this land. You're an angel with a seed in your hand. You're an angel with a seed in your hand. Yeah. Yeah, mama, yeah, na, yeah. Yeah, mama, yeah, na, yeah. Yeah, mama, yeah, na, yeah. The irony is that we've been born in Babylon, even though we belong in Zion. Indigo heart, indigo mind. Understand why you're ahead of your time. Get up, stand up, don't back down. Get up, stand up and find your ground. Yeah. Get up, stand up, get on your feet. Get up, stand up, it's really freaking deep. But you're an angel here with a seed in your hand. Put your root down and take care of this land. You're an angel with a seed in your hand. You're an angel with a seed in your hand. Yeah, yeah, mama, yeah, na, yeah. Yeah, mama, yeah, na, yeah. Yeah, mama, yeah, na, yeah. Yeah.
you so much. Thank you very much.
Such a wonderful beginning. I love this Rising Day. Happy Rising Day. So my prayer is that we open this morning is based on some reading that I really love that I did this morning from Nona Brooks' writing in the book called Mysteries. And she talks about life not being a mystery when we look at it in the right way. And she talks about resurrection consciousness. So I'm inviting us to change that. Maybe resurrection consciousness doesn't meet our needs as much as rising consciousness does. So thank you for that. Happy Rising Day. The two things that she said we need to do to have the rising consciousness is to love God with all our heart and soul and everybody else. So it's based on love of spirit and everyone. And the other is to see God in everything. And to know that everything is God in expression, all of nature, everyone whose eyes we look at today. So let's pray about that this morning as we open for Reverend Cindy's wonderful message. I just invite us to turn within, recognizing Spirit, that which creates and sustains everything surrounding us and coming forth, especially at this time of year with all the newness. Even in Florida, we have flowers that bloom more in the spring than at other times. We may not be coming from a place of darkness, as some places in the world are over winter, but still there's this new rising of life that surrounds us and invites us to rise with it. And as we recognize that which creates and sustains the whole cosmos, that each one of us are God in expression, unique and wondrous. Each of us exists because Spirit has made a conscious choice to be here as us, through us, as much as we allow, as much as we invite Spirit to use us. And I give thanks knowing that whatever's on our mind this morning, whether it's personal or international concern, that we know the answer exists in divine mind. That as we turn our attention to God being all there is and everywhere present, there are no unsolvable problems. Be they ones of wholeness or health, be they ones of abundance, be they ones of conflict. We know the truth is abundance, the truth is wholeness, the truth is love, the truth is harmony, and the truth is expression of that creative nature where that which is brand new comes through us to bless the world, like those wonderful songs that we've just enjoyed. How wonderful that Spirit spoke to us this morning through this song and word. And I know that this is the truth for the message that Reverend Cindy brings us this morning. That as we allow ourselves to rise together in consciousness, we awaken on a wonderful resurrection morning, being who we truly are, eternal, conscious beings, celebrating life in this time and choosing to be here at this time to plant our seeds and see them come to fruition, that the world is a better place because each of us are in it, and that as we rise to the occasion of giving our gifts and being who we are, our lives are rich and fulfilled, and we enjoy being Spirit here, right now. How grand it is to know that when we speak these words in faith, believing, Spirit speaks through us. And that very power that creates and sustains the universe flows through these ideas, bringing them forth into manifestation. What a blessing it is to know these truths and then release them into that law that creates everything, knowing that by our knowingness, by our belief, by our certainty in that one source, it is done. And let us say together, and so it is.
Okay, I won't touch it. How about now? What a beautiful sight. Oh my gosh, it's just so lovely to see all of you here this morning. There's no place else I'd rather be. And I just want to thank Donna and Reverend Peggy. And where did he go? Where's Matt for that? Beautiful, beautiful music, beautiful. There he is. There he is. How wonderful. What a great way to start our Easter service, our celebration. It's not actually an Easter service. Let me backtrack a little bit. I bristle a little bit, I'm just going to say, at some of the more traditional Christian things since I've come away from it. But there is always great value and benefit from these things. And so sometimes I have to get through some of the yuck and the muck of some of what I no longer agree with to be able to stand up here and speak about it. But there's good stuff in it, and there's good stuff in it for me, so I want to share some of that with you. I'm Reverend Cindy Grimes, and we've got lots of visitors here today, so I'm very excited to see you all. And there's lots of places we could be today, but you chose to be here. And so I am just knowing that there is something in whatever happens today, whether it's through the music or the prayers or what I have to say, that uplifts you and makes your life and certainly your week a little bit better. So what we're talking about here at the center, every center is a little bit different, and our theme for the year at this particular center is what I call traveling light. And I mean that in all of its manifestations, right? That we can, as we travel, that we be as unburdened as possible. And that we can be the light, that we feel the light in ourselves, and that we are the light for others, that we can be that space of home wherever we go. And so we can travel that way with all those burdens, or we can be the other. Which would you rather be? I've been that one. I've been the other one. I'm still, in some ways, there, but releasing, right? That this is what this life is about. I think you spend the first half of your life accumulating stuff, and then the next half getting rid of it. Something like that. So anyway, today is Easter Sunday. It is a day that is celebrated by Christians, millions and millions of people throughout the world, and it is the crux of the faith, right? The idea that this person who walked the earth, very special in that teaching, rose from the dead, essentially. And so what our interpretation of the story here in New Thought and Centers for Spiritual Living is not that Jesus was the great exception, but that he was the great example. Now, I know in some places that's heresy. Probably the first time I heard that, I was afraid to walk out the building. I thought maybe I'd get hit by lightning or something for just entertaining the thought, right? That we could be as Jesus, you know, that he was the example of what we could be. And so the metaphor for this traveling light that I'm doing this year is the hero's journey. Now we know, does anybody know that? The hero's journey? It's what's called the great monomyth. It's a story that you find in all of the great stories. It has an arc to it. So the hero starts at home, and they get whatever it is that they need from home, and then for some reason they go out. They have to go out for the journey. Either they're called or they're pushed or whatever. They go out and they do their journey. And on that journey, there are trials and tribulations. They meet friends and helpers. Supernatural things happen to them on the journey. And then at a point, there is the great showdown. And the hero finds out who he or she is in that moment. And then they become the hero. But the hero isn't just the hero for themselves. The next part of the story is that they return home with what it is that they have learned to better others. That's what makes them the hero. So the story of the death and resurrection, the death of Jesus and resurrection of the Christ, is like the ultimate hero's journey, don't you think? I mean, that was the big showdown, right? The one that we are all facing at some point is the end of this mortal life. And he overcame that. So I'm not going to focus on that. Whether you believe that literally or not is really not the issue here. There's enough in the metaphor of it that there's benefit, I think, for every one of us. So that's kind of the framework of the story. And I'll be referencing his journey or his teaching a little bit today. I don't usually do that, so just so you know. So the foundation, this is like what people get when they're at home, right? As we're talking about this hero's journey, what do you get from being at home? And this is what we've been talking about. The first month of the year, we talked about paradigms and possibilities. Our paradigms being our worldview. So again, the hero's journey is potentially everybody's journey. And so there are things that we grow up believing and thinking that may or may not serve us, that may or may not be true, or they serve us for a while and then they don't. Part of our journey is to keep growing and expanding. And so we talked about possibilities. And then in February, we talked about taking our own power back, living on purpose, and not living as a victim of life, but understanding that we are the creators, the co-creators of our experience. And then last month, we talked about what I called the paradox of freedom, and the fact that we need a safe place, we need a safe foundation in order to launch from. We just had some little birds that decided to nest right by my front door. We had a poinsettia plant, and the mama bird just created a little nest right there, and the 3 little birds, we've been watching as they feed the little birds, and I was waiting for when they were going to take off, and I missed the experience. But they needed that special, that safe place so that they could be nurtured and strengthened so that they would have what they needed to be able to take flight. And that's true for all of us. What we get at home is meant to nurture us and support us and strengthen us so that we can do the work that's ours to do. Now, we don't all get what we need necessarily, or maybe what we would like or would have wanted from our parents and in our families of origin. But now as adults, it's for us to provide those things for ourselves. So that's what we talked about last month, and what I call the ABCs of safety. So we talked about how children need to have a sense of safe attachment, to know that there's somebody that is there to care for them. Remember, like baby infants, right? We are so helpless when we come into this world. And we need to know, we need to have that basis that there's somebody that cares about us. That was, the A was attachment. B was for boundaries, like this is your safe place in which we play, right? We have playpens and cribs for our babies, so we know that they're in a safe place. And then, what was the other? C was the idea of certainty, and I'm going to spin on that a little bit today. So today we're talking about the mindset for the journey. What is it that we need as we're getting ready to head out? So now we've got the foundation, and we need a particular mindset. And I think the original title of this talk was going to be Now and in Case of Emergency. So these are the things that you need for the journey now, wherever you are in your journey. And remember, every day could be a journey, right? Every day. A project, whatever is going on in your life could be a little mini journey where you're going through all of these experiences, right? Or you could look at it over the whole length of your life. So super important, what you need as you're going to go out into the world and do your thing is CRT. Anybody heard those initials recently? I'm using it in a whole different context. CRT, courage, respect, and trust. Now think about that in your life as you interface with your neighbors and your families and your friends and your coworkers. Courage, respect, and trust. And now I'm going to break it down a little bit. So this is from last month. That's it. I'm out of here. Today I fly. Well, the other little bird says, you don't know how to fly. He says, well, I guess I'll just have to wing it. And the quote from Einstein that I love, that I think is so, so true. The most important decision we make in life is whether we believe we live in a friendly or a hostile universe. Right, so think about that. Do you believe that you live in a hostile universe, or do you believe that life is conspiring on your behalf? It is really a choice that we make. Again, if you've grown up in a way that has you feel like the world is a scary, dangerous place, that just feels like the truth. You don't realize that it is a paradigm and a way of thinking. until you bump up against somebody else that has a very different way of thinking. So, for what it's worth, I think the idea of living in a friendly universe just makes life feel a little bit easier, a little better. Anybody else? Right? Yeah. So that's the perspective that we're coming from. And I'm using a few words kind of interchangeably. So the word trust and the word certainty and the word faith. They're all similar. They're not exactly the same, but they're used synonymously. So I'm gonna use them kind of interchangeably. But trust, to believe in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. It is to have faith, to have confidence, to have hope. And then synonyms of trust, expectation, there's certainty again, belief, faith, etc., etc. So how important is trust in your life? To trust, there's trust for ourselves, there's trusting of others, and there's trusting of life itself. So there are levels of it as well. And I would say that it's actually really vital. There's a book out, I don't know how many of you have heard it or heard of the author, Stephen Covey, and the book is called The Speed of Trust. Anybody else heard of that? Best book out there on trust. And Covey talks about, I think it's called The Speed of Trust, the one thing that changes everything. The one thing that changes everything. And so we have myths versus reality. Got cut off the page there. So here's some myths about trust. One is that trust is soft. People call it soft skills. A lot of the stuff that we talk about, people call soft skills. So one of the myths is that it is soft. Another one is that trust is slow, or that trust is built solely on integrity. I'm going to say that one again. It's a myth that trust is built solely on integrity. Does that sound right? Well, when I show you the answers, you'll understand why. Another myth, you either have trust or you don't. Once trust is lost, it cannot be restored. Another myth is that trust cannot be taught, and that trust is established one person at a time, and there is another one that fell off of there. Darn it. So here is the realities, right? Trust is actually hard. Y'all know that's the truth, right? Trust is hard. It is quantifiable, it's real, it's measurable, and it affects speed and cost of things, especially when you're in business. Nothing is as fast as the speed of trust. It says trust is slow, trust is fast. When there is trust, you can get things done. Think about our Congress right now. Is there trust among the people in Congress? Very little. Therefore, what gets done? Zero, very little, right? Let's see. Trust is built solely on integrity. Trust is actually a function of character and competence. So integrity is very important to trust. But you can trust me, and I am a trustworthy person, but don't ask me to do brain surgery, right? Because that's not my competence. So if you're trusting somebody, you want to know that they can do what it is that they're saying they can do. And the same for you. Let's see. Trust can be created and destroyed. And though it is difficult, if you've lost trust, it can be restored. With work, people can restore trust. Let's see. Trust can be effectively taught and learned and can be a strategic advantage. And then this other one is interesting. Establishing trust with one establishes trust with the many. People see what you do. People see how you act with others. When you establish trust with one, you can have trust with others. It just it happens. And let's see. Yeah, there's one more missing, and I think it's that trust, the myth was that trust is risky. The myth is that trust is risky, whereas the truth is that trust is necessary. It's riskier to not trust. So let that settle in a little bit. Riskier to not trust. Now, I'm not saying you trust people indiscriminately, because there are people as you are on your journey. And if you're as old as I am, you don't even have to be as old as I am to know that not everybody has your best interests at heart. Right? Sometimes people will hurt you. Sometimes people will mislead you. But here's the thing. If you can trust yourself, you don't have to trust everybody else. You will know who is trustworthy and who is not. But it comes from in here, trusting yourself, and that power and presence that is within you that can guide you. So fear to faith, fear to faith. Again, that word trust and faith, I'm using them kind of interchangeably. And here's what the founder of this movement of Centers for Spiritual Living, which is also, we teach the philosophy called the Science of Mind. And the founder is Ernest Holmes, and what he said about fear and faith is fear and faith are identical in that the energy used in the one is the same as the energy that's used in the other. Fear is a positive acceptance that you'll experience what you dislike. Faith is a positive acceptance that you will experience that which you do like. They are identical in this mental action. The only difference is the direction. So people say that fear and faith are opposites. What he's saying is that is not true. Fear and faith are on the same continuum. They are actually a function of your imagination. So when you are in faith, you are believing that the thing that you want to happen is going to happen. When you are in fear, you are believing that the thing you don't want to happen is going to happen. It's the same function, just the difference in the direction. Now, another quote I found, which I thought was so interesting, was that the opposite of faith is not fear, but certainty. The opposite of faith is not fear, but certainty. Because faith requires that we look at our doubts. Faith is a practice. We don't practice a certainty, do we? We practice faith. Have you ever felt like you were certain about something and then found out you were wrong? Yeah. So faith invites us to have some humility about even the things we think we're certain of. But I think for me, the big takeaway is the idea that if I have doubt, it doesn't mean I'm a bad minister. It means I'm a human being, right? And if you don't have doubts, you're probably not up to very much. You're probably not on the edge of your, growing, because life is uncertain. So when those doubts come up, know that you're just a human being. And then you get to choose, what am I going to believe now? Am I going to believe the worst case scenario, or am I going to believe for the best case scenario? And see how life leads you in the direction of where you focus your attention. So what did the great one say about these issues of faith and trust? What did he say? Truly, this is what Jesus said, truly I say to you, unless you change and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. So what does that mean, to be like children? Think about that. This is from Ernest Holmes. In this book, I found it in our lending library. I think it has the original cover from 1949. I love it. And it's got all kinds of underlines and markers from all different people who have looked at it. And so it says Jesus was asked by his contemporaries, who is the greatest here? Can you tell us who are the greatest? And with people thinking that he was going to say himself, and of course his disciples, right? That's what they were hoping, I think, or thinking. But that's not what he said. The greatest, and this is from Ernest Holmes, the greatest in the kingdom is the one who accepts God in childlike faith, in simple and direct trust. The natural child, meaning, kids as they are little ones, right? Natural children the natural child has no sense of shame, no burden of guilt, no consciousness of rejection. The natural child loves everyone and expects everyone to love him or her. The child puts forth his or her hand in trust and enters into the zest of living with abandonment and joy. How often in our complexities and the craziness of life, right, do we turn back and think about our time in childhood when there were no burdens, no fears, no doubts, and then longing to be back in that paradise? Well, we don't have to long for it. We can just bring ourselves back there on our own, just by entertaining the possibility that the best thing could happen, or that life is actually conspiring on our behalf. You know, I love seeing the children, and if, being a grandma has really changed my perspective on a lot of things. And it is just a beautiful thing to see the kids, and the examples that I gave of kids needing to know their safe place. And when they know grandma and grandpa are here, when they know mom and dad are here, they can go play, have the best time, and they look back. They want to know you're still there, that you're okay. And if you're not, there might be a problem. But as long as they know their safe place is there, they can play and have a great time and feel free. And it's the same for us. But our safe place, we need to know, is right here. Right? We cultivate that. That's part of the practice. That doesn't just happen. Again, you're not bad if you have doubts or if you question. You're just human. So now we talked about trust. I'm doing them out of order. The other thing that's super important to know as you go out on your journey is the importance of respect. Respect for self, respect for others, respect for the planet, just having respect. And we use that word a lot, but what does it mean? So it comes from the Latin word respectus, meaning attention, regard, or consideration. Respect. Re means again, spect is to look. So look again. Respect is to give a good look, due consideration to what's in front of you. It is also a feeling of admiration or esteem for someone or something that is elicited by their abilities, their qualities, or their achievements. Respect is the ability to honor ourselves and to value ourselves and others. And I think this is really important. Respect is a basic human right, essential to feeling safe and to be able to express ourselves without fear of judgment, shame, humiliation, or discrimination. For how many people is respect important? Raise your hand if it is important to you to be respected by others. Yeah? It's a human need. It's a human need. I love to talk about universal needs, and this is one of them, is respect. Trust is also a human need. So everybody that you're dealing with has a need for respect, right? No matter your age, no matter your socioeconomic level, no matter what side of the tracks you're born on, everybody has a need and a want for respect. So why is it so critical, especially now? Anybody feel like respect is a hot topic right now? Yeah? Yeah. So, and we all know this kind of intuitively, but here's like the proof, somebody who's done the research. Disrespect is central to the ideology of violence. I have yet to see a serious act of violence that was not provoked by the experience of feeling shamed or humiliated, disrespected, or ridiculed. And that's by James Gilligan, who is a physician who actually wrote a book on violence, Reflections on a National Epidemic. So violence is a national epidemic. And there's another quote, and I've been looking for the actual number, but it was something like 85% of people are in prison, some form or fashion, because of feeling disrespected. Right? Just think of all the ways that it starts. A kid gets bumped in the hallway in school, and suddenly somebody's feeling disrespected and there's going to be a fight. Right? Or the argument in the parking lot. Things can escalate so quickly when people feel disrespected. So don't do it. Right? Don't do it. Understand the value of it. You don't like to be disrespected. Don't disrespect other people. This is Paul Chappell, who wrote a book called The Art of Waging Peace. And Paul K. Chappell was a West Point grad. History of trauma. He was in Iraq. And now he's a peace builder. And this is what he says about respect. I call respect the infinite shield because it not only protects us, but everyone around us. It prevents dangerous situations from escalating and serves as a first line of defense against violence. Yeah, it's important stuff. It's important. So what did the great one say about respect? Well, I did a little search to see what Jesus said about respect, and you know what? None of the translations actually use that word. It doesn't show up. I don't know if they didn't use it or if it's just not translated the same way, but I have a feeling that this is what he meant when he said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Right? Is that respect? Yes, that's respect, without saying the word respect. And we know that to give respect, we have to, we have to give respect to get it. I taught this at the prison. I was volunteering and I was do classes. We'd sit in circle, 25 guys and me, all by myself. And but these guys, they wanted to be there. And I actually oftentimes felt safer with my circle of guys than I did coming through the gates, getting shook down by the guards, who were a little creepy, some of them. But anyway, when, we're in a circle and we're talking about respect, and this gentleman who was way bigger than me, probably a foot taller than me, 100 pounds on me, and, African-American, tough, like the kind of guy I might be afraid to run into in in an alley or something. And he says, I used to demand respect. I used to demand respect until I realized that you have to give it to get it. You don't demand respect. You get it by giving it to others, And coming from him, his message meant a lot more for those guys, I think, than me saying it. But it's the truth, right? No matter whose mouth it's coming out of. Here's the other thing he said, Jesus, and I think this has to do with respect too, right? You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. The second is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets. So while Jesus didn't say the word respect, his whole ministry was about that, right? Of seeing others as ourselves and treating others as we want to be treated. Or even better, treat people the way they want to be treated, right? The platinum rule is how I've heard that. So that's respect. And then the last piece, the C, is the courage. The courage. Have courage. It's, so courage is not the absence of fear. You all know that, right? Courage is feeling the fear, knowing it's there, and doing the thing anyway. You don't need courage if you're not afraid, right? But the nature of the journey, going out into the unknown, if you're a human being, you're going to be a little afraid. You're going to be a little afraid. Or you can spin it and know that it can also be excitement, because it's really the same thing that's happening physiologically in your body. Whether you call it fear or you call it excitement, the same thing is happening in your system. It's just how you interpret it. Right? So know that if you're doing something that is outside of your comfort zone, there's going to be fear. There's going to be fear. So don't let it ride shotgun. Definitely don't give it the wheel. Right? Don't let your fear make your decisions. Don't even put it in the seat next to you. Put the fear behind you. I see you, I hear you, I acknowledge you, thank you for speaking. Now I'm going to do what I need to do. Right? Fear doesn't stop death. It stops life. How many people are so afraid of dying that they don't even get started really living? I worked for hospice. Another reason I love these universal principles, because I worked for hospice for some years. And this is the great universal. It is the great leveler, no matter where you are in society. If you think you're up here on the food chain, or you feel like you're down here, or wherever you are, this is one actuality for each and every one of us. This human journey is going to come to an end for every one of us. Right? That's the truth, and we don't know when. But some people are so afraid of that inevitability that they lock themselves away and they do everything they can to stay safe, including putting walls around them and having lots of weapons and having lots of things to protect themselves, so much so that they're isolated from the world. They don't get to even enjoy what there is. So fear doesn't stop death. It stops life. And when we no longer fear death, we no longer fear life. I started working for hospice when I was 26 years old and got the job the week I found out I was pregnant with my first child. And I would walk in to see my patients as my belly was growing and growing and watch them get weaker and weaker. And, I'm bringing in new life and they're at the end of theirs. It was a real mind bender for me. But such a wonderful, wonderful lesson in the realization that we don't know when that day is. It could happen for any of us at any time. In fact, we had a beautiful, beautiful memorial service here last Saturday for one of our young members, for Emmy, who died at the age of 19. Just 19 years old. Nobody knew when she got up that morning that she was going to be in a wreck. But that young lady lived a big life. In those 19 years, this place was full of people who she had touched through her kindness, through her generosity, through her love, right? And here we are. Here we are. So I'm here. I do this once in a while. To tell you, this is your wake-up call. If you hadn't thought about it already, if you don't think about it on a regular basis, understand that your time here is limited. You came here with gifts and with things that you're here to do that only you can do. Do it. Do it. If there are things you need to say to people, if there are places you've wanted to go, if there are experiences you've wanted to have, do it. Stop waiting. It's time. This is your life, this moment, right here, right now. This is your life. Something I know is calling for each one of you. Do it. Don't waste any more time in anger, in negativity, in whatever thing is that is taking you off track, whatever thing has got you in your misery, in your tomb right now. And I know we all have stuff, right? Anybody have some stuff going on in their lives? Anybody have some challenges? Anybody feel like they're in a dark place or could go there, right? Right? But don't stay there. Don't stay there. Understand it. Acknowledge it. I see you. I hear you. Get in the back seat. Now I have a life to live. Okay? And remember that it's a millisecond. In the grand scheme of things, your life is like a breeze. So enjoy it. It's here for you. Rise up. Come out. Whatever it is that you're in, come on up out of it and do what you came here to do. Be who you came here to be. Because, we might come back, but we don't know that for sure, do we? Right? I'm not discounting that. And there is a part of us that we know goes on. Jesus taught us that. Right? There is a part of you that has been here from the very beginning. That part of you that is aware, that is experiencing it. You look in the mirror, and if you looked in the mirror every day of your life, that image would change, what's looking back at you. Right? I look at that mirror and I'm like, who is that? Look at that hair. Like, when did that happen? When did those lines get there? When did that hair get so gray? Like, what? But it's still the same person, that is looking. That is the constant. That's the awareness. The awareness is where we are all connected. The awareness is the part that has always been here and will go on after you lay this meat suit aside. Right? That's the part that goes on. For now, give it the best experience that you can. Enjoy life. Live full out. And so the mindset for the journey. Right? Remember this? WWJD, what would Jesus do? Yeah, that was like in the 90s or something. I know some people didn't like it. But, I'm cool with Jesus. I think his teaching was phenomenal. And if we all really lived that teaching, like heaven on earth right here. Right? Yeah. So what would Jesus do? Your mindset for the journey. Have courage. Have the courage to live fully. Have respect for yourself and others. And the last thing, trust that life is conspiring on your behalf. And now you can have some fun, right? Yeah. All right, so here's our affirmation. And I'm going to say it once, and then I'm going to invite you to say it if it calls to you, and maybe use it throughout the week. So here it is. I live courageously, knowing I have everything I need to be the hero of my own journey. Now together. I live courageously, knowing I have everything I need to be the hero of my own journey. Do y'all feel that? Yeah? Do you want to say it again? All right, say it again with a little more oomph. Okay. I live courageously, knowing I have everything I need to be the hero of my own journey. And so it is, and so it is. Yes, great. Thank you. Great. Thank you, Donna. Here you go.
That's why it's called Infinity Rising. Because of that, you know? Our company that we created as practitioners, at the end of practitioner, they say to you, well, how would you take this teaching into the world? And I thought, I'm going to help other nurses. I'm going to do that for the healthcare system. And then boom, COVID happened, right? And look at that. I was able to take from the pain to create something else. And I know all of us has done it at some point, right? We have risen over and over and over. Just waking up in the morning, hello, right? And that's how we celebrate grand rising, right? Awesome, awesome. I love each and every one of you. Usually we have music right after this, but we're going to go a little bit different, okay? All right. How many people, when you step out, you feel all my needs might not be met? I'm scared. There's not enough. There's too much. There's scarcity, all of that, right? So we're going to go into our abundance. And it's not just the abundance that you put in an offering plate or give to, you know, the guy on the street or whatever. We're talking about just the abundance of love for yourself, too. And the love you give to yourself. Self-care is very important to me as a nurse. And the abundance of love you give to each other. And every day make that conscious decision to give of yourself in that way so that you may get respect and love back. Reciprocal, right? So together we do this affirmation. It is the nature of life to give of itself, as it is the tree's nature to bear fruit and the flower's nature to bloom. It is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed and I am a blessing. I am grateful. All right, and if you have a prayer request that you would like the ministry and practitioners to pray on, just go ahead and hold your hand up so we can get you a slip. And then if you are online, and also in your givingness, if you'd like to give via text, 352-320-5110. And thank you guys so much for those online who have been watching, connecting in, just sending a little bit of love and zing to those who couldn't be here in person because they were under the weather. Just sending a bit of love to them. All right. And if you have a prayer request, just hold it on up so Angel can find you. Just bless the basket as it goes by. Your presence here is also a gift. Oh, the text to time I mentioned. One more time, 352-320-5110. Hey! Awesome. All right. We have different people. Different people are always giving to this community, whether it's with their energy outside in the garden, it's food, it's money, it's their talent, it's all of it. But whatever it is that you have to give, just trust me, we can plug you in somewhere if you'd like to hang out with us. Pretty cool people. I invite you now to go within as we bless that which has been given, knowing that the abundance of the universe is everywhere present, especially today as life is bursting forth this springtime. I am just so grateful to be a part of that as I allow myself to give of my time and talent. And I am so grateful for those who put hearts and hands into this space so that it may be a beacon of light for anyone who just needs a little bit of time or energy or love to know where to go to get it. I'm so grateful for the prayer requests right now, knowing that the answers are embedded in the very question itself and that the universe is conspiring on our behalf. I release it down knowing that it's already done, and so it is. So it is. So what's going on here? Lots of people ask that. If you are not part of the newsletter, go ahead and see Norma. She'll go ahead and get you out so that you can know what's going on here at Center for Spiritual Living. We don't do this format every single Sunday. We change it because people learn differently, right? And people like different things. So sometimes it's music, sometimes it's a talk like this, sometimes it's a class. It just depends. On April 14th at 7 p.m., this is where the music is. It's a Friday. Amy Steinberg is coming to CSL Ocala. She is on her tour for her new album. Everybody, anybody seen Amy before? Oh yeah, y'all know she is a little irreverent, but we love that about her, and she is dynamic as a performer. You definitely don't want to miss that. And also, did y'all enjoy Matt today? Matt Cat will be here, music as medicine. Y'all felt that medicine, right, today? Oh, yeah, you want more of that. You want to definitely be here on the 23rd at 11:11 a.m. We're going to be just diving into that remedy called music and allowing our body to naturally heal itself using sound, vibration, and instruments. I just love it so much. Qigong is also going to be here on Saturdays from 10 to 11. Where's Sarah? That is Sarah. She teaches Qigong. It's a way to connect your mind, body, and spirit, dropping back into your physical form. Sometimes we tend to be all up here, and there's nothing wrong with being in that conscious realm, but we do have a mortal body, and it's nice to, we don't want to wait until it starts screaming pain to pay attention to it, and that is what Qigong does. There are always volunteer opportunities. Anything you like to do, trust me, we'll find a way to plug it in. Only because we just like hanging out with you. So whatever you got to give, we'll take it. And if you are interested, you will see Pam there. She's waving her hand. Any direction. All right. Anything else? No? No? Awesome. So I'm going to invite Matt to come back up and play another song for us to let us out. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And we're going to do the prayer for protection real quick. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. And if y'all feel like getting up and moving, because you got to get that blood going again, especially if you got to drive. I love y'all. See you next week. Oh, yes, and we do have food, so there's plenty. Definitely stay and eat. Bless the food, y'all. Yes. All right, let's do it. We haven't done it quite this way. All right. Get your snappers ready, y'all. CSL people know this. Ready? Da-da-da-dum. Da-da-da-dum. Da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum. We thank you, God, for giving the things we need for living, the food, the fun, the friendship, the CSL family. Da-da-da-dum, neat, da-da-da-dum, sweet, da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum. Let's eat. All right.
how we turned away from war. And all the pain we've seen shall return to love once more. We shall return to love once more. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. A beautiful story told of how we found our way back home. And all the pain we've seen and felt and done shall return to love once more. We shall return to love once more and again. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Heaven on earth is real. 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 Don't lose hope. La 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 la. La 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 la. We're marching out of Babylon, hand in hand to the Holy Land. We're marching out of Babylon, hand in hand. Will you take my hand? We're marching out of Babylon, hand in hand to the Holy Land. We're marching out of Babylon, hand in hand. Will you take my hand? We're marching out of Babylon, hand in hand to the Holy Land. We're marching out of Babylon, hand in hand. Will you take my hand? We're marching out of Babylon, hand in hand to the Holy Land. We're marching out of Babylon, hand in hand. Will you take my hand? I will take yours.
beautiful story told of how we turned away from war. A beautiful story told of how we found our way back home. We do it for our children. Yeah, we do it for our children. May they never have to see war. May they never have to see war. Yeah, we do it for our children and their children and their children and their children. May they never have to see war. Do it for our children, our children, our children. Beautiful story told. And all the pain we've seen and felt and caused and done shall return to love once more. We shall return to love once more and again, over and over. We shall rise again.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you so much. That is just a taste of what is to come. You don't want to miss the 23rd. And now that the littles have gotten their plate, everybody else can go ahead and eat.